Hello everybody, it's me Martin, and I'm here to rank the PS Plus games of 2020 from worst to best. Now we had a lot of games, so this is only part 1, plus I'm including some games that became free while during this year, and I will also be talking about some DLCs that were also with those PS Plus games. So with all of that out of the way, no spoilers, this is just my opinion, let's get on with it. And at number 37, the worst PS Plus game of 2020 is The Sims 4. Now, while this is a solid life simulator, like it works fine, it is massively lacking content. There are so many things that should be here that are not here, but all those things that should be in there are just sold for DLC, just charging you extra, so you're not even really getting the full game by getting the PS Plus game, and it's just incredibly greedy, and in my opinion this is 100% the worst game, the worst PS Plus game of the year. And at number 36 we have NBA 2K20. Now, I do have a very strong bias against sport games, so I can't fairly judge them. I really don't like them, but even so, this game seems very greedy, boring, repetitive, and just not a good game, and so this is a nice spot to put it. At number 35, we have Farming Simulator 19, which I found this game to be just very boring and unrewarding. You go around, you farm, there's nothing really interesting about it, and there's nothing really to gain, no rewards that feel worth getting, and so I very quickly stopped playing this game, and I don't recommend even trying it. And at number 34, we have Bioshock Infinite's DLC, Burial at Sea Part 1. Now, since we got the whole Bioshock collection as a PS Plus game, that means that I should also count the DLCs in here, that we also got those for free, so this is the only Bioshock DLC I'll call bad. While you do have solid Bioshock gameplay, it becomes a massive waste of your time. There's a laughable story. It has such a ridiculously stupid ending. Points at it feel like fan fiction. It's really, really terrible, and oh my god, just don't waste your time with this one. It's really not worth your time. And now we got past most of the really bad games, and now we're kind of getting to some of the really mediocre games. And starting off, we have a number 33, Dirt Rally 2.0. Now, this game just doesn't do anything interesting. It's like a driving simulator where you drive over some terrain, and it just doesn't do anything interesting, and it's also very lacking content. There's only a couple things you can do, and it's just no real reason to play it. And at number 32, we have Call of Duty World War II, which, in my opinion, is probably one of the weakest of the Call of Duty games. First, let's talk about the campaign, which is very cliche, very forgettable, and it's just uninteresting, and there's no reason to really play it. Multiplayer, you have some very small one-dimensional maps, and there's just nothing really special about the multiplayer. The one new mode they added isn't really that interesting, and yeah, so overall, I just don't really like it. While you do have some good graphics and some fun gameplay, that's kind of expected for Call of Duty, so I'm not really gonna give this game a lot of credit for that. At number 31, we have the Lego Ninjago movie video game. And this is just simply a Lego game. Like, it's fine, it's colorful, it's nice, it plays fine, what else is there to say? And at number 30, we have Sonic Forces. Now, this game has some good and some bad. It is very colorful, and I like that. You got some really great customization as you unlock things to customize your character with, like as you go through levels. You have some very surprisingly fun boss fights here and there. But overall, you got some pretty boring level design, the same old gameplay, and there's no interesting story, which isn't really expected for Sonic, but it is still a problem. At number 29, we have Need for Speed Payback. Now, while this game does have a lot of good in it, like it's very fun to race around and drive. You have 5 different races: regular race, off-road race, drag, drift, and police missions. And you also have some very good graphics. There are a lot of problems. The open world is very annoying to travel in. The story and characters are incredibly terrible and they never shut up. And the progression, like the way you upgrade this card system, is very boring and uninteresting, and it's just not a fun way to do progression. And at number 28, we have Goat Simulator, which is a fun time for around like 30 minutes or so, just causing some havoc, some chaos, just having some fun. But there's not much depth to it, so this is a perfect spot to put it. At number 27, we have Pac-Man Championship Edition 2. Now, this game became free during 2020, and I played it, and I thought it was basically Pac-Man, but with a lot of flavor added to it. It was funner. There was more complexity added to it from the normal Pac-Man design, and I thought it was a really fun time. It wasn't anything really complex or had a lot of depth in it, but it was fun. And now we're starting getting into the pretty decently good games, and starting off at number 26, we have Just Cause 4. Now, in my opinion, Just Cause 4 is a good but very flawed game. You have some fun combat that really lets you get creative, and the most fun you'll have in this game is just messing around and causing havoc. You got good traversal, but you also have a shitty story, a very checklist game type game, and a very terrible ending, and all of that, and just some bad mission design, all of that makes a game that's very flawed. And at number 25, we have Rocket Arena. Now, this is actually a really great game. You have some fun gameplay and some really good traversal if you're flying through the air, shooting enemies with rockets, and you have many different characters that have many different abilities, and all that's just great and a nice visual design. And so this should be a game that should be way higher, but something that really ruins this game for me is how hard it is to get to get to all that good stuff with a forced tutorial, and then you have to do 5 bot matches before you can play a match with friends. And I don't know why they did that. It's such a problem, and it just ruins the game. And at number 24, we have another Bioshock Infinite DLC, Burial at Sea Part 2. Now, I really liked Burial at Sea. The story has some good moments in it, but like also has some flaws in it. But overall, I would say I did like the story overall. And the gameplay, I also say, is mostly a mixed opinion. It has some very fun stealth that I really liked, even if the stealth is pretty simple, and you got some cool abilities you can use, a crossbow, and it's all really fun. Um, but a lot of the encounters, a lot of like the stealth sections, you can literally just run by everyone, just run to the end if you don't want to do it, and that just makes it super easy that you can just run by everything, and so I can't put the DLC that high, and so this is a perfect spot to put it at number 24. At number 23, we have PlayerUnknown's Battleground, or otherwise known as PUBG. Now, I think PUBG is a very fun shooter that has a lot of really good things, like all the items you can pick up, there's a lot of those, and you can really customize your guns with different scopes and stuff, and all of that is really good. But because it was like one of the first Battle Royale games, it's not that unique, like say something like Worms Rumble or Apex, and so it just doesn't have its own style and identity, and I'll say that's a problem, but still it's worth checking out. Here on out, every game I talk about is great, and I recommend it if you're interested. And starting off with our great games, we have City Skylines. Now, this game ain't for everyone, but for people who really like the creating stuff and building stuff, this is a very fun, like, city builder simulator type game. You can create towns, you give them electricity and water and a way to dispose of wastes and all of that, and it's very good in that. It's very fun and really lets you be creative, but I do have one problem with it, and that one problem is, at least for me, it was massively confusing to understand it, and I had to search up like how to do it, and I assume a lot of people will have to search up how to do it because it is incredibly confusing. So once you search it up, you should have a lot of fun with it. And at number 21, we have Erica. Now, I really like this game. It's kind of like a movie in a way. It's very well directed and it looks amazing. It looks really, really good, like super high quality. You got a very great like horror, spooky type atmosphere, like supernatural type atmosphere. It's really good. You got a good and interesting story that I did really like. Even if it was a little predictable in some areas. And I just wish you spend more time with the characters and it was a little longer because it's very short and you don't spend enough time with the characters to really like them and care for them at the end. And at number 20 we have Street Fighter 5. Now I think Street Fighter 5 looks amazing, like talking about graphics wise and the designs and all of that. It looks really, really good for the type of game it is and what it's trying to look like. Um, the combat, I think, is also very, very fun. It's very fast flowing. You got a lot of different moves, a lot of different characters, and that's all just really great. You have a solid story and the campaign. Like I really liked the story of the game, and you have a lot of really fantastic characters that go through their own character arcs and have their own plot lines. But my main problem with the campaign is there's just so many of these characters and so many character arcs and plot lines and stuff that a lot of them don't get enough time or enough screen time, and a lot of the characters are even pushed aside, and that leaves a lot of problems, and a lot of the arcs just don't end on a satisfying note, and I feel like they could have been handled better. And also, my biggest problem with this game is so many like items, like when you're doing regular battles, like so many of the characters and arenas and all of that are like locked. Like you need to unlock them through grinding. And I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. Like I understand like maybe skins and emotes and stuff, but like friggin' characters and arenas and all that, like why is that all locked? It just was not a good idea, and that's just my biggest problem with this game. But overall, I still really like it. And at number 19, we have Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Now, I think Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is a very, very fun, very solid Call of Duty game. You have that smooth, fun Call of Duty gameplay that, every Call of Duty game has. But with that, you also have you have a good story with some good characters. Like I liked the story and characters, but what really stood out to me was this game had a lot of really fun, really memorable levels. Like when you go to the Gulag, or there's an oil rig, or you get the snowy mountains, and like there were some very fun levels. There are some not so good levels. Like there are some that were just like you kept going through and shooting, and they weren't really that interesting. Like I think Burger Town was like one of my least favorite ones, but like overall, I still really like the game. At number 18, we have Injustice: Gods Among Us Ultimate Edition, which is another game that became free during 2020, and I really enjoyed it. I think it has some super fun combat with superheroes and supervillains fighting each other. You have a very good story with some very good characters, but in my opinion, the story just doesn't reach its full potential. I feel like I feel like it could have been more personal instead of it just being you're visiting this broken world. Like with Superman Evil, you could have been in that world. Like the way Injustice 2 did it, and it's like the split universe thing. Just I don't really like it that much. But overall, I still think the story was good. And another problem I have is in between fights, you sometimes have like these really lame mini games that just feel cheap. Like I don't know if I have an example to show, but they're just really forgettable. Who cares? Like I don't know why they're added in, but overall, I still say you should play this game because it's very fun. At number 17, we have Bioshock Infinite, and boy, I got a lot to say about this game because I really like the first Bioshock games, and this one does a lot good and a lot bad, and there's a lot to talk about. First of all, the game looks beautiful. Just look at it. Its use of color and just how everything looks. It looks real nice. Combat is very fun. Guns are very satisfying to use. Very fun. You got some cool abilities. You can use the zipline hook thingies that you can use if you play the game. You know what I talk about. Those things are very fun. You got a great story, and you got some good characters. That's all really great. But this is a massive downgrade compared to the first two Bioshock games, because there's a couple ways that this game just downgrades. First of all, it is way less linear than the previous two. Like, instead of having open levels, it's literally straight linear, like no turns. Maybe there's like some secrets around, but not much. That's a disappointment. You can only have two weapons. You can only hold two weapons instead of just having a full weapon wheel, and which of course means that like trying to look around levels and find ammo and scavenge and all that is just completely gone. Like, you have plenty of ammo, you're fine, and that's also a problem for me. And it doesn't, the story and the characters and the whole world, that's a big problem. I think the world of Bioshock Infinite just does not work as well as the first two Bioshock games, where the world felt really alive and like was a big part of the story and was just so damn good. And so this game just disappoints in that. And at number 16, we have Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout. Now, I think this game is a very good game. It is very colorful with all its colors, and it's very nice to look at. It's very pretty. You got some very good progression and customization with a lot of ways to customize your character, and you unlock like XP to increase in the battle pass to get more skins, and you can also buy skins from the item shop with the money you make from how well you do in the matches, and so all of that is very good. And I think the game itself is fun with a lot of different modes and stuff. My main problem with this game is it just feels very repetitive, like, and it's very easy at the same time, which means you're not gonna really be coming back to it that often because of how easy it is. Like, yeah, those two problems, repetitiveness and the easiness, just both really combine, and they're both a problem. But I still think this game is very fun, and you should probably give it a couple tries. Thank you for watching my video on the PS Plus games of 2020, ranked from worst to best. This is part 1, of course, and part 2 should be coming soonish. And so I'll see you guys then. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, hit that like button, leave a comment below of what you thought of the PS Plus games, and what PS Plus games you liked, and which PS Plus games you didn't like, and all of that. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.